Now that we have finished our research on our landform, we are going to move on to rewriting that information into an organized way so that it can be read very smoothly. So to start with our report, we're going to start with a topic sentence. Your topic sentence should get your reader's attention. So sometimes we call it the hook. We want to really get the reader to want to keep reading. We want to hook them in. So you could do that in a couple ways. One is to start with a really cool fact that you found out about your landform. Another might be to ask a question, to pose a question, because then the reader will want to continue reading to find the answer to that if they're not sure. But those are two different ways we could start. I'm going to start kind of with a combination. I'm going to ask a question about a really cool fact that I learned. So while I was researching plateaus, I found out that jumping spiders live on plateaus, and that kind of has stuck with me. I think that's something that is interesting, so I'm going to use that as my topic sentence. I'm going to start with it as a question though. Did you know that jumping spiders live on the Tibetan plateau? Now, that's a question, so at the end, I need a question mark. If you choose to write a question for your topic sentence, you also need a question mark. Now, the second thing on here is the definition, and you should have found that while you were researching. So I'm going to write a plateau is a flat, elevated landform that rises sharply above the surrounding and then a period, because that is a full sentence. A plateau is a flat, elevated landform that rises sharply above the surrounding areas. Mine kind of looks like a table, so it's got like, it rises steeply and then it flattens out. That's what a plateau looks like. Okay, now the next section says, my landform was formed by, so we already have our definition. Now we're on to this one here. How is it formed? So you should have researched that or found that during your research. And you can actually use the sentence starter. My landform was formed by, I'm just gonna get rid of those two dots there. It was formed by upward movement. Mine actually has two ways that they are formed. The first is upward movement in the Earth's or it can be formed by small volcanic eruptions that do not break the surface. Okay, so now that one's done. So now my next one says, 2 plants or animals you can find at my landform are, so I'm going to choose that, I can use that as my sentence starter. 2 plants or animals you can find at my landform are Let's see. I have snow leopard, wolf, yak, donkey, vultures, hawks, geese, jumping spiders, but I already talked about those. Grizzly bears, bisons, link, and river otter. And then these are the plants I found: the Kachina daisy, the Schultz stickleaf, and Jane's globe mallow was another plant that lives on the Colorado Plateau. I think I'm going to choose, actually I'm going to split this up. I'm going to say 2 plants, I'm going to scratch this out, you can find at my Landform are the Kachina, and the Schultz stickleaf. Then I'm going to rewrite this with animals so that I include both of those. 2 animals that live are, let's see, which ones do I want to choose? Let's do one from each. So snow leopards, and then the Colorado Plateau has grizzly bears. Okay, so now we're ready for the next part. So now you need to include 2 facts, and then if you want, you can include an extra fact, and then your closing sentence. So this last section here that you did research on was what are some interesting facts. So I'm going to write those in here. One interesting fact I found is that plateaus can be found on every continent. So that's my first fact, plateaus can be found on every continent, and they take up 1/3 of Earth's land. Second fact here, there are plateaus in the ocean. And then an extra fact is that there are ice plateaus in Greenland and Antarctica. Antarctica. Okay, so now my closing sentence needs to restate my topic sentence, but in a new way, so it needs to kind of wrap it all up in a bow. I'm going to say that I think plateaus, we can give our opinion in the closing. I'm going to say I think plateaus are important because they are homes for many plants and animals. All right, So now you're going to take your research and you are going to put it into this graphic organizer written out in complete sentences.